Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Digital Hustle. I'm your co host, Mike, and I'm joined here with my other co host, Joe. And today we have a guest, Trevor. And today we're going to be talking about finding your skills and how to use those skills to become marketable. But before we jump into that, I just want to give our other speakers a chance to just talk a little bit about themselves, give you their background, and a little bit more information on how they got started. So, Joe, why don't you give us a little bit about your background and how you got everything off the ground?
Yeah, so I originally started out in the military, learned some skills, did a lot of different things. About 4 years ago, I transitioned to entrepreneurship, pretty much decided to learn everything about marketing, and now I kind of apply the marketing to real estate, kind of a lot of different things.
Awesome. Awesome. So, what about you, Trev?
Hey everyone, I'm Trevor, and for myself, my background is in IT. That's the field I work in right now. So I do program/project management for the Department of Defense, and I attended Old Dominion University. That's how I met Mike, and from there, after I graduated, I majored in IT, and I was looking to get into the field, and obviously our defense space is one of the biggest industries for that. So for me, it was easy just to kind of get in. But since then, I've kind of broken out and started doing some more entrepreneur type activities, just like Joe, building up my brand, my business, and still working that 9 to 5 with the DoD as a program manager. But that's a little bit about myself.
That's awesome. Like a lot of us, we're still pulling that 9 to 5, but always trying to make different moves, start your own thing, and grow and develop. And just a little bit about me. Yeah. So, I met, like Trevor said, I met him at ODU. I actually didn't graduate. I dropped out and I had some other personal stuff to take care of. So I did a lot of different jobs, a lot of jobs, telemarketing, fast food, retail, you name it. I've probably done it, shoveling snow, cleaning pools, whatever it is. I don't really turn down offers, that much. But then I got into audio visual. I did that for a few years. And then made a shift over to IT, and very similar to you, except we do a little bit different stuff in the IT field, big on networking and that side of things. So that's a little bit about me. But so our bigger question today is, how do we help people find their skills? How do we help people seek their interests in a way that can help them develop and become and change that side hustle into an actual career?
So I think I can speak on it. What helped me was like trying some of everything. So I did a lot of research on like ways to make money, things like that. And I kind of remember that first time I like discovered marketing, where we were like we were working together in the office, and I was like, "Hey, I'm learning about this Google ad stuff, and I'm thinking about to just dive all the way into this." And I pretty much just dived into it. It felt like a natural fit, and then I found that the more I learned, the more interested I got. And I think that's an important thing of like you have to have joy in it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I remember you actually telling me, like, Mike, you need to start looking into this. Mike, there's something about this. I definitely remember the excitement in your voice. That was awesome. So, what about you, Trevor? What do you think? Where do you think people should start?
I gotta agree with Joe. It's got to start with something you're interested in, something you have a passion for, and then from there try to figure out if there are careers in that field. So for me, I was always into tech. I mean, early on, I started with video games, always wanted the latest console or whatever it might have been, and then it became phones, it was iPhones and things like that. Androids came out. So for me, I wanted to be in IT, doing something like that, whether it was with my hands or managing a project that was tech related. So from there, I started researching careers. Thankfully, in high school, I had some really good, teachers and programs that kind of, being in the magnet program steered me in the right path, engineering and technology. And that sort of, showed me the careers that were available. And from there, I knew what I had to do. For me, I took the college route, but I could have easily have done something else, just certs or things like that in order to get there. But I think the college route, worked for me and it helped me to network and get there. But for me, I just started with that passion, just that passion for, different types of technology and just liking that. And I think anyone looking to find, that dream career job, figure out what your passion is. It might be something you're already doing, and then try to find applicable, jobs in that field, that already exist. Type in like people that like to record videos and do TikTok, what can they do besides, just TikTok? You'd be surprised what you can find out there. So
One, one thing one thing that I did that actually worked for me is like going on Indeed and looking up jobs that I wanted and kind of looking at what the things they listed out of like skills and requirements And then I would start learning, okay, I need to learn this, or I need to learn this, and things like that too.
I definitely used Indeed and a few other sites to kind of like beef up my resume. So when I knew
Yeah.
the job, I was like, okay, they're talking about XYZ. I didn't put none of that in my resume. Put that over here and then apply and then see what happens. And I definitely got traction. Just doing that in general, looking at the job descriptions and learning those tools or programs. It could have been like a software I didn't even know or code that I wasn't familiar with, and just learning it from there, just based off a Indeed job description.
Yeah, and if you start feeding through those job posts, you'll see what is in demand. You'll see what skills people are looking for, and you can get those skills by doing more research and learning more about it. Then you can put it on your resume and say, "Hey, I do know about this, and I've adapted and I've adjusted," and that's another skill. But you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to just really talk about a little bit more in terms of like being able to turn that side hustle or not side hustle necessarily, but the skills you already have. I think that's really important to focus on, right? You mentioned like a video gamer or a TikToker, right? Like what you got to think about, what do? They do videos, they create content, and they make posts, stuff like that. So it's like, well, you never know. You can turn that in video editing into now a different career. Now you're editing movies, or you're doing different projects for different customers, making commercials or making different ads. And you just never know what you're already really good at. So just take a step back, look around. What are you already doing? What do you enjoy doing that you're currently doing, and try to figure out an avenue to take that you can still do that at some capacity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the hard part, is that you kind of want to. I hear people give advice of like, don't worry about the money, but I definitely think there's an aspect of you need to worry about the money, because you don't want to like,
Always work. Look, money's important.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not all about the money, but
yes,
exactly
it
like
is
that
it
is a
is a
focus.
big part, because it doesn't really do much for you to have all these nice skills, but then you can't make any money off of them and can't feed your family and things like that.
Exactly.
Like,
Even if you got to take a job that you may not like, but you might have the skill set today to get into the job that you want to, because it might pay you more to take that training, to go get that cert and these things are expensive, man. I think the PMP cert, that's in my field. I think altogether, I think it's like 600. It might have gone up, but it's an expensive course, man, just to take the test. And if you fail it, you got to, pay that up again, pony it up, and you hope your job pays for it. So it's not.
And even if they do, they might only pay for the one, and if you fail,
Yeah,
then it's on you to
on you. And
again.
and then some jobs are, they'll make you pay for it up front. You're interested, go do it, but then you have to go and get reimbursed or something like that. So
yeah,
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
that is a big part of like, you have to educate yourself, like watching videos, like taking the certification. Because all of us kind of have taken certifications. Me personally, I've gone a Google route where they're all free. So you pretty much go take
Yeah.
free Google certifications, and then you're in the pool of everyone who knows Google Ads, and you just got to be better than everyone else.
there you
And you got
go.
to hone those skills, right? As you get those skills and you develop this, you got to really hone them and make sure that you're good at the things that people are looking for. But I can also speak to the certification route too. And let me tell you, it can be very expensive. It can be very time consuming and suck a lot of energy out of you.
Was it worth it?
But
Worth it,
it's
Mike?
so worth it. What's that?
You answered the question. I was asking, was it worth it? And you said,
But it's totally worth it. And just like Joe was saying, you're educating yourself. If you're going to jump into a cert, if you're going to take the time to study and plan, don't do it for somebody else. Don't do it because you think it's good for your company. Do it because you think it's good for you and your development and what skills you can really get out of the class or course or whatever it is. Because it doesn't always have to be in the IT field. There are all types of certificates you can get certified for throughout all different types of industries, right? But regardless, whether they're free or paid, you still got to take the time. You still got to learn the content and apply it back at them in some kind of test in some fashion.
Yeah, it is important about the application of it, because one thing that was important for me is like, you learn Google Ads, everyone can kind of get, because it's free certifications, everyone's kind of on the same field. So something I had to do was take on a lot of free jobs. So like in the beginning, just to get my foot wet, just to learn it, I'm like bugging people like, hey, let me run some free ads for you for $100.
So you can get that experience. And let's say even if you failed, you learned so much more than had you not taken that job. Or if you hadn't reached out and say, hey, let me do this for free. Let me give it a shot. I might not be an expert yet, but you're also not going to be paying for my skills yet. You know what I mean? So you definitely can develop that way. And that's a really important strategy to go about is, sometimes in the beginning when you're new, you got to take those L's. But that's the thing, you can't think of them as L's, right? It's not. It's a big W. You got them interested in you and your capabilities, and now you can showcase who you are and what you do.
I think, yeah, because on there is that also in that aspect of you can get into it, be doing it, and then realize it's not really what you want to do. And I've had many friends that like even gone to college for things and different stuff, and they get into the field and they're like, this sucks once they actually get a job.
Or they can't find a job, right? Because the skills that they thought were what they wanted to do or were marketable skills that you can actually find a job are no longer that. Or they've altered in some different way, or you don't have experience.
I've lost count of the number of colleagues, coworkers across the years who I've met, and like their background wasn't necessarily IT. Like they went to school for something completely different, but they're in my field and they're doing it. And it's just like opportunity met preparation / I knew a person who knew a person, and I was trying to get this job and get started, and they were paying like decent money, and you just have a career, and it just happens that way. And they got those skills, but touch on what you said. I had a manager who was just like very keen on people developing their skills, and not for the organization, not for her, but for themselves, just Lean Six Sigma stuff. That was stuff that my manager, she pushed for that so hard. And she was like, even if you're not here in a year, I want you guys to take this because you can take this anywhere. Like it doesn't matter if you're doing construction, Lean Six Sigma, all that stuff, it's going to be important. So it's just, I love that approach, just being able to take a skill and, never do it for the company, do it for yourself. Sometimes those things align, but in general, you should do it for yourself. It's important.
Yeah. I think even in today's workforce, like whether you're going like the freelancing route or finding a job, I think it's important that you kind of have to make yourself marketable. Like I find like even more than ever, like having like a couple of videos online where you're talking about a subject or things like that, how handy they come in where you can like point people to this, like, yeah, I've been on video or I have a blog or something that I talk about this, and it just shows like social proof to it.
Well, exactly, right. That's having your portfolio, having that like bunch of documents or bunch of examples that you can send to them. Like, I did this. Look at this. Do you like this? If you think this is at all any quality, I'm your man or I'm your guy, right? Like, in the bigger portfolio you have, the better.
So, how does it? I guess getting into IT, what advice would you give someone that's like plain starting out? So say they are interested in IT from both of your perspective. What would you tell them to do first? I guess you go first, Spike.
So there's so many avenues that you can go down in IT. You can just pick one thing and be an expert in it and be well off and find a job. You can pick Microsoft. You can pick Excel just for an individual application. It doesn't even need to be software, but there's so many different routes you can take. So once you try enough things, you'll start kind of getting a feeling of what you like. Right. Like I've done so many jobs where it's been customer service based. So I've been right in front of the customer, having to be nice, having to smile, having to have a great attitude, but also know what I'm talking about, and know my product well enough to where it's not like I'm reading off of a pamphlet of like why they should buy it. Right. It's my personality. And so it's also what I know and how I speak. So all those different things, you'll eventually find an avenue that you like. Right. So, I kind of started my IT experience doing like help desk stuff. Right. So I was just fixing little people's computer problems here and there. Right. But those people that are putting in like these tickets are so stressed out. Right. I can't print. I can't do this. I can't do that. And all they want is just to know that they're heard and that somebody is there willing and happy to help them. Right. So you can take those little things that you do know about yourself and some of the skill or some of the experiences that you have and just dive a little bit deeper into that and see if it's something you want to do. You don't have to dedicate, all of your life to it, but you can definitely spend some time and seeing if it's something you want to do for the long term.
Because I do see a lot of help desk jobs on there all the time. And what I do know is that you don't have to be the most technical person. You just have to be personable and have like a good, good like attitude about it. Because I've met people like I have contact support, and I'm like, this person knows nothing, but they have such a good attitude.
So look, how you make people feel like they're gonna
Yeah.
remember that more than like anything.
What about you, Trevor? What advice you got? Someone starting out maybe straight out of high school, they want to get into IT.
So I have a bit of a different approach, and I just discovered this along the way. So for me, a lot of what I did was desktop support early on. Mike, you probably remember me when I used to work at the library,
Yes.
a lot of customer service, type of things, and that was fine. I was in college, that was great. But as I got to the end of school and I was, focused on like my capstone project, and we were like project management was a thing. I was like, I think I like this, and a lot of the jobs I applied to were desktop support type of jobs, and I knew I could do it. I had the skill set. I built that customer service relation thing, but I was just like, I can still transfer these skills to something else. And the reason why I wanted to do that was because I looked at the money project managers can make. So I encourage people to getting into IT, if you're interested, look at the money that you can make from different fields. So whether it's security, networking, program/project management, desktop support. I encourage everyone to look at the money that you can potentially make, and then I don't want to say the ease to get into it, but maybe the path, So like you look at this career, you can make six figures, and you need to get two certs, and you can be essentially just you can walk into the door at Google or Apple, whatever it might be. Look at those things first, because money is a motivator. It really is. But overall, if you decide to go that path and you hate it, you probably built up those skill sets to kind of transfer to something else. So if you find out you like desktop support better, but you went that project management route, I'm sure you've developed those customer relationship skills that will apply to someone being a project manager. You have that skill set now. You built it up pretty strongly. So I would say look at the money first. Look at the money if you're interested to get into IT, and then from there go to something else, because people will tell you a path, and then that may not make sense for you. So money wise, so that's my recommendation.
Yeah, and as you're looking at the money, you also want to look at like that list of jobs, right? And scan that list of IT jobs or whatever career, whatever industry you're looking in. Just look at all of them, and then more so than that, like look at what they mean. Look at what they expect out of you, right? Because like for instance, a network technician is different from a network engineer, right? They do different things, and there's different roles. So what is that role? Who makes more? Why do they make more? There's things like that in every industry that you need to figure out and differentiate to know, is this something I really want to do? Because some people, they don't want a lot of responsibility, right? Some people just want to kind of be in the background, and they're okay like just answering phones or something like that. And then you have the people that can't stand being sitting at a desk. They got to be up, they got to be customer facing, and they got to be active. So it really depends on a lot of your preferences, but you got to look, right? If you don't look, you don't know. The more information you have about all these different jobs, the more you'll even present better when you're sitting down for an interview. Now that you have all this knowledge in your background about, pay scales and what you should probably be making, and knowing your skills and your experience, and knowing that I can stand out if I sit in front of these people and talk, then, you can take that and run with it, right? And then you can start just applying more, and then going further into your own career, finding your path. But one other thing I wanted to touch on was Trevor said, like look at what it takes, right? Map out, okay, if I want to be here, what steps do I have to take to get there? Do I need to take this certification, or do I need to take this one? Should I even take one, or should I go to college and take some classes, right? Like map it out, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Get to that last point, but you can only do that if you take each step.
Yeah, I wish I would have mapped mine out because I went the erratic route of just going as I go. I feel like it took me a lot longer to reach this point than they probably should.
But you're versatile now. Like you have so many skills that someone else may have just went straight into something and then disliked it. You know for sure what you like because you tried everything. It's like ice cream. You might have tried every flavor. Oh, I like cookies and cream the best. Like, I'm trying to tell y'all, like, none of that other stuff is that good. So That's a good approach, Joe. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, you also got thrown into the deep end, and that's one of the best ways to learn. When you either have to sink or swim, right? You're either going to make it or you're not, and that forces you. Especially like we were talking about in the past episode, you have to feed your kids. You know what I mean? Like I can't not do that, right? And that could be another driving force to just help you with that extra little push.